asked himself in peacetime. Because our perspective is flawed, we often don't think to ask the right questions in peacetime, says Lewis. We can think of it this way. Instead of comparing learning in wartime to Nero fiddling while Rome burns, we would do better, according to Lewis, to compare learning in peacetime to Nero fiddling while his soul is about to burn in hell. Lewis's point here is that humanity is on the brink of hell every day, but we don't think anything of a person who goes to college in peacetime when his neighbor is still without Christ. Now, of course, we'd all agree that a person who gave up every other human activity until everyone on earth came to faith in Christ would be a monomaniac. It would be incredibly unreasonable to think this. See, Lewis is not minimizing the gravity of eternal consequences here. Rather, he's demonstrating that while we humans are capable of retaining our interest in such trivialities as art and literature or music and mathematics, while we're living under the shadow of eternal issues, we're prone to close off the voice of reason and open our ears wide to the voice of nerves and mass emotion when the shadow of, quote, special circumstance like war or pandemics fall across our path. Note this following quote from Lewis. He says, "For this reason, I think it important to try to see the present calamity in a true perspective. The war creates no absolutely new situation. It simply aggravates the permanent human situation so that we can no longer ignore it. Human life has always been lived on the edge of a precipice. Human culture has always had to exist under the shadow of something infinitely more important than itself. If men had postponed the search for knowledge and beauty until they were secure, the search would never have begun. We're mistaken when we compare war with, quote, normal life. Life, says Lewis, has never been normal." One way that we could summarize Lewis's point here is that learning should not be confined to what we perceive to be, quote, normal times. Normal times are a matter of perspective on comparative priorities. That's why even though in his essay he was answering the much weightier question of why we should learn in wartime, we can also apply this logic inversely and answer the lighter question of why we would do well to learn in summertime. The question of when we learn should not be governed, says Lewis, by nerves, emotions, danger, or by what we perceive to be the proper time for learning. Because learning is a part of the normal human experience. It's normal human activity, regardless of what's at stake. With this better understanding of normal times and comparative priorities embedded into our imaginations, let's consider the question about our emotional attachment, say, to the American academic calendar and its rhythms of learning. Or better still, let's consider our emotional attachment to institutional learning overall. The fact is, we don't have to wait until the normal school year begins to start learning again. And we don't have to wait to be accepted into some formal institution to become an educated human being. Knowledge and beauty are worth pursuing anytime and wherever there is an opportunity. Again, learning, gaining knowledge and wisdom is part of the Christian's ordinary human activities. Learning at all times and learning to become autodidactic even is a mark of a wise and virtuous human being. Now, returning to Lewis's essay for a moment, he further notes that what makes mankind different from the animals is that while animals think only of their immediate circumstances, men tend to propound mathematical arguments, he says, in beleaguered cities. They conduct metaphysical arguments in condemned jail cells. They make jokes on high scaffolds. They discuss the latest poetry while advancing to the walls of Quebec, and they comb their hair before they go to battle in Thermopylae. This is simply the normal human condition. We might add that in modern times, times in which life and leisure are not threatened by war, at least currently, but by bombardments from amusements and assaults by entertainment, Free men and women study when circumstances allow for it. They don't wait to be told they have to go to school. They continually pursue interests that make them better human beings. In the conclusion of Lewis's essay, he offers exercises which he suggests serves as defenses against the enemies which war raises up against the scholar. And so, following Lewis's lead, I would like to suggest that summertime learning can itself be a defense against at least 3 enemies of learning that constantly threaten students who desire to flourish as human beings. First, learning in summertime is a defense against regular academic distractions. Of course, there will always be distractions to learning. This was Lewis's point in this essay. Sometimes that distraction is a war, and sometimes it's a global pandemic. But most often, it's the competing time demands of academic and extracurricular activities that can be the most distracting for students in the modern world. Whether it's sports or clubs or numerous academic subjects vying for the student's attention, learning in summertime can afford real leisure time to dive deeper into a subject matter and to study at a slower pace. In many cases, it also provides more personalized attention from an instructor. In the second place, learning in summertime can be fun and refreshing. Fearful that learning will get in the way of a well-earned relaxation, some students avoid studies of all kinds or any kind during the summer. But learning in summertime can be a defense against boredom, against the entertainment and amusements that pose as recreations, but in reality, they often only weary the mind, shorten our attention spans, and they often even degrade the soul. Learning in summertime provides opportunities for pursuing interests that are deemed superfluous to the prescribed academic track. Finally, summertime learning can be an opportunity to get caught up or to get ahead or simply mitigate the fog of forgetfulness before jumping into the next level in the continuity of curricula. In closing, I'd like to propose that if we allow ourselves, we'll always be waiting for some distraction or other to end before we really get down to our life's work. And as Lewis notes, the only people who achieve much are those who want to knowledge so badly that they seek it while the conditions are still unfavorable, be it wartime or be it summertime.